Emma Doyle, say hi to Craig Bell. I don't think you two have formally met. Craig Bell, director of tennis, and his gorgeous club, Bentry. They have clay, 4 indoors, and how many? 14 or so outdoors?
12 out and 4 in.
12. About to be more.
About to be 12 hard.
Yeah, 12 hard, yeah.
Taking out the club.
Yep.
So tremendous place, and I got to spend some time with these 2 ITF boys just now. So I am doing tennis coaching and now podcasting. So this is going to be good. CB, what else do we need, baby?
Well, I got to get on Facebook here just real quick.
Okay, go live.
We are live. I just want to make sure that I can comment to everybody.
Oh, good.
Hello, you can tell everybody we're
good.
live.
We're live.
We are live. Thank you for saying it. That was good.
All right,
everybody, welcome. We're about to get started. You're hearing the pre-show banter in the ice purple. Next to me in that box right there is the great Emma Doyle, good friend and a tremendous there she is with a little Australian rules football.
Oh, which one is she? Where do you which team do you root for?
Yeah, let me see which team is this?
Ah, the Blues. There you go.
The Blues. There it is.
I'm a Blues fan. The great Stephen Kernahan from back in the day.
Oh, I love Stephen Kernahan. I thought I used to run around the backyard thinking I was Stephen Kernahan.
Oh, that's great.
Are you from Melbourne? Are you from Melbourne? Mm-hmm. You're from the Melbourne area then, yep. I've been to the MCG on several occasions. I've not watched Aussie football there, but I have watched a cricket match. And
oh, nice.
Oh, my goodness. I was in heaven. I've stood on the pitch, taken the tour. Man, that was awesome. That was one of my most cherished memories is going to the MCG and standing there where the great Stephen Kernahan and all the boys that have participated in Aussie football. So,
Emma, my favorite part about the MCG is sometimes Craig will pronounce it like you all do. You want to have a crack at it?
What's that?
MCG.
The MCG, the J, or the G. They call it the G, I believe, down under. It's the G.
Mm-hmm. The G.
The G.
Exactly.
The G. Ripper, mate. That's great.
Well, should we get Jimmy Campbell up here real quick, and then off we go? We've got some people online right now, so. We are live. So
let's roll with the theme song. I know we have really learned this from Emma, is to start with some music.
Yep.
So here we go.
All right. So give us about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then we'll get you in, okay?
No worries.
You'll be hearing us. All right. Here we go. Jimmy Campbell.
Hello. You are at the net. And welcome, friends, to another episode of the At the Net podcast, powered by Tex-Mex Productions. Working the soundboards in the back of the house are our producers, D-Mac and Dave the Brain. Time to say hello to your hosts, Craig Bell and AJ Shabria, as they're about to take us through 3 sets of tennis, talking life and all the news as it seems to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Bell.
All right. Thanks for that Ripper introduction. Ripper's the night. It's the word of the night. Ripper, maybe Bonzer.
Bonzer, yeah. That was a Bonzer intro. I like it. I love that song for sure.
That's right. It could be like the Bonsai Pipeline. Maybe like that's Hawaii though. But that's
Hawaii is halfway to Oz.
Yes.
And that is where our guest is coming from. But she's American too.
Right.
She's in Colorado and originally from Melbourne.
Yeah. So welcome, fans of the great game. You're listening to Season 1. This is episode 7-4 of At the Net podcast with AJ Chapper, that'd be AJC.
And next to me, Craig Bell. Sometimes we call him CB1.
And we're talking the great game of tennis as it seems to us. Thanks also go out to our good amigos at Tex-Mex Productions. That would be Darian D. Mac McBrayer and Dave the Brain from back of the house. Actually, he's not from back of the house anymore.
He's from back east at the moment.
That's right.
He's in Maryland.
He's in Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was helping me move the dials and buttons to make it sound like real people. We're real people.
We are real people, and so is our guest. I can't wait for tonight.
Also, be sure to check out our work on Fireside, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, CastBox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and YouTube tonight. Man, I got tired saying that.
What about Twitch?
Twitch. Yeah, we're on Twitch tonight, too. We're Twitching. All the important communication sites that kids find popular. And if you'd like to read the opening intro of At the Net podcast, let us know. We'd like to.
We love that.
Love that. And so, speaking of Ripper Bonzer, that lady right there.
Yes.
Yeah, she's pretty bonzer, isn't she?
She sure is. She's tremendous. Emma Doyle, ladies and gentlemen. So happy you've joined us.
Welcome to At the Net, Emma.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So really appreciate it, boys. Thank you.
Yeah,
But I must say, straight off the bat, when I first saw that AJ was doing the podcast with with CB1. I don't know if you've ever met Craig Bell from New Zealand, a
Yes.
sensational tennis coach, and I worked with him closely, coach education, for many years together. So to me, you're CB2 or something.
You know who I was just on the phone with is his son, who I think of as CB2. His son is Christopher Bell, a brilliant tennis player, and now a tennis coach. So maybe he's got to be CB3.
You know, I have met Craig Bell via LinkedIn and some emails, and so I don't think we look alike, but we have the same exact name.
Same name.
It's funny, and we're both tennis pros. One's in New Zealand, so I am aware that there is a namesake down in Kiwi land that has my name, Craig Bell. So it's kind of funny that we were both entered into the great game of tennis, and we're tennis coaches.
Yeah.
And
I highly recommend. He's awesome. So you should get him on the show. He's absolutely hilarious.
We need to.
We'll make sure we do that, and we'll say our good friend Emma Doyle is the one that recommended having you on. So we'll see. So he's probably, I know it's 15 hours, 17 hours ahead Melbourne. So it's probably about 8, 12, probably 11 in the morning, I guess, down in Melbourne. Yeah. And so Craig would be in New Zealand. Are they about the same time ahead of us, or are they about
2 hours ahead of?
2 hours.
Ahead of Melbourne, so they're always bringing in the new year before us. But,
right.
There's a great rivalry between the Aussies and the Kiwis.
So, in all sports. All sports.
Yeah.
That's not just cricket, probably the main sport, right? Or maybe would it be rugby? Rugby.
We beat them in cricket. They beat us in rugby, and I think we've got them in tennis.
Right. We've had a really good Kiwi.
We had Chris Lewis. We'll probably get Craig Bell's contact info from either you or Chris Lewis, and one of our favorite Kiwis. In fact,
yes,
you and I were big fans of his.
Chris
not
Lewis.
Just his tennis, but even the look. He's tremendous.
He was in the big hair contest.
He was in your hair.
Yeah, he was. We did an At the Net podcast, best hair in the history of the men's game. Chris Lewis made it in the 70s category, I believe. He
turned pro in the 70s and, of course, Wimbledon finalist in '83.
Right.
And he was probably one of the few New Zealanders who gave the Australians a tough time in Davis Cup.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh,
things like that,
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I know he lives in California. You live in Denver, is that correct? Up in the Mile High City?
Well,
or around there?
I call it the Global Triangle. So, so spent about 6 or 7 months in Denver. Yeah, just 10 minutes out of the city. Just moved to Berkeley. Absolutely love it. And, and then about 3 months a year in Melbourne. Usually, almost always, this is the first summer I have been home since 1988. I was a ball girl in 1988 when it first moved from Kooyong to Melbourne. And then the other months in Glasgow. So we call it the Global Triangle. We love it. And that's sort of the base. So
pretty spectacular living in Melbourne, Australia. Man, that's Melbourne. Sorry, I mispronounced.
Right.
I'm saying Melbourne, Florida, I guess, instead of Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, in Florida you can say the R. You can even lean on it, but in Australia, it's barely there, right?
That's like Oklahoma.
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
I'm an Okie, so you forgive me of my misgivings there, being from Oklahoma. That's we can't.
I love the Southern draw. The Southern draw.
Sometimes we have it. We can say you all down here every now and then, right?
Why not?
Well, we've got you for a few. Let's see, about 4 or 5 hours. Is that okay? That's we're going to be talking since you're a couple hours behind us. So we figured that
we'll go long.
We can talk forever, and we've got
a
bunch of guests. I'm going to start doing some stuff here in a second.
Good. You do chat box sort of duties, and should we get started?
Yeah.
We have a 3-set format as usual, folks at home. And first set, we get to know Emma as far as her background in tennis. And Emma, let's start off with it. Back in Melbourne, back in Victoria, tell us how you started in Kooyong or Melbourne as a tennis player.
Yeah, sure. No, my parents were they're originally from the UK, and then they sort of the 10-pound poms on the boat out to Australia, and then they sort of never left. A little bit back and forward, but really they were squash players. So I remember my dad just sawing off the handle of a wooden squash racket, and then he hurt his back, and so he had to shift over to tennis. And so we just used to start as a family, nice family. My middle sister and I'm 3 or 4, but and mum and dad, we'd go down for a Sunday, sort of, the 4 of us would have a little hit, a little warm up.
Yeah.
And my first coach, he used to just run laps around the outside of the court, and he said to my parents, "Oh, this little one's got something, some good hand-eye," and that was it. And he'd run laps around the outside of the court. So that's where Mum and Dad thought maybe we should shift coaches. But really, one of my best memories is just rocking down to the club. I grew up mainly at Maribyrnong Park Tennis Club. What an incredible atmosphere. You just rock up down the club, you just hit, you create your own games. And it was, and then talk about a hotspot of talent. I mean, my God, that Maribyrnong Park Tennis Club, Mark Philippoussis trained there. Chris Anstey went on to play actually for the Dallas Mavericks. And then Chicago Bulls as a basketballer.
Right.
Dustin Fletcher played AFL footy. And Tamara Hyatt went on to play golf.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it was a hodgepodge of really, sort of hotbed of Joseph Sirianni.
Oh, Sirianni, ATP Tour, yeah.
Yeah, him and I were dead partners. We grew up together playing mixed doubles.
Really?
Anyway, I was so lucky, and Tamitha Harding now she works at Tennis Victoria, and her mum used to if you won the club champs, you'd have to do this dance, like a formal dance. And one year I won it with Chris Anstey. Chris, even at, we were like 12, and he was already, nearly 6 foot, whatever, was on the way. And so the photo of me dancing with his hips, it's like, a bit weird, but we just did cool stuff like that. And we were on Hey Hey Saturday, just dancing, just fun stuff. It was a great way to play tennis. And look, I actually, if this was a female sport, I actually kick this and handball it better than I do play tennis.
Really? That's tremendous.
So I think if the opportunity was there for girls, I would have been AFL footballer instead of going down the tennis route. But
tell us, is the opportunity there now to play things like? I feel like I hear of footy for women now more than in the 90s when you were growing up, right?
Oh, it's in the last 3 years, it's had 300% growth. I'm involved in coaching coaches with the program. One of the benefits of virtual. So I love still having a hand in it. I love the game. And I'm loving even learning NFL. I'm really always curious about patterns, and I've always sort of had maybe a pretty sort of natural coaching eye in some ways, like to be able to see patterns and things. Yeah. So I love all that stuff. But coaching, was an interesting journey for me back in the day, because I say the kick serve had only just come out, but it hadn't. Like, it'd been around for ages. And but there was only like one coach who could teach it, and I think I was like 14, and my parents couldn't really afford that extra private lesson to learn this new shot where the ball kicked off the court. And anyway, so he said, look, if you coach for me, one night a week, I'll give you an extra private lesson. So I started coaching at 14.
You earned it. You earned your coaching chops, and you earned a little more of the Hey, one of my favorite Australian, I have so many favorite Australian women tennis players, starting with Yvonne Goolagong, who I believe all of us had a bit of a crush on when I was a kid. And then Alicia Molik with the amazing one-hander. But Sam Stosur, who I want to ask about, who showed her the kick serve, and was it the same coach who showed you?
Yeah, well, it's not the same coach.
Okay.
I don't, in the formative years, his name is on the tip of my tongue.
Uh-oh.
I can picture him, but I know that she certainly did a lot of work with Craig Morris, who
of course
obviously finds himself here now with the USTA. So I know I certainly watched that developmental sort of period there with her. But back to Alicia Molik, when I was in my 20s, we used to fly her in at like 12 to play on our state grade team.
Really?
From Adelaide.
From Adelaide.
We'd fly her over because she was so tall. And, Sarah Stone, who runs the WTCA Women's Tennis Coaching Association, her and I would play doubles together, and we'd fly in Alicia, and so that was super fun times, with that crew. But Yvonne Goolagong, come on, I was against the wall, like thinking I was her.
The best. What a beautiful mover, and she had the drive backhand, the slice, the volleys. I think she even had shoes that were called the volleys, right? The Dunlop volley.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't know why someone doesn't take the bottom of the Dunlop volley sole and stick it on a regular tennis shoe.
Yes.
it would just be a game changer because, you know, the Dunlop volley shoe, like for, you know, $10 at Target,
Yeah.
like had no ankle support.
None.
Everybody in the 80s wore them. I went through that many pairs, had them in different colours.
Yeah.
Loved
Oh,
the Dunlop volleys.
you-
But one more quick story.
Oh,
about
yeah,
that. I
please.
just can't help myself. Is,
Good.
of course, when we were ball kids. So back, like, literally, besides the embarrassment of rolling my first ever ball accidentally over the fence.
Oh,
I was like,
no.
oh, my God. So I was so nervous, I held on to it like the ball toss, you know, and you get the
Then
yips.
you released it too late.
I got the yips on the first ever roll. I was like, oh, my God, it went over the fence. But
No.
anyway, we used to wear the Dunlop volleys, right, as ball kids. And so, but they didn't regulate heat back then, right? So the heat of the rebound ace would sear through and the kids were just fainting. Kids were just like falling over. I was lucky I was at the net, so I could always get a little bit of shade off the umpire.
Yeah.
But kids would just like drop dead, like not dead. Sorry.
Yeah,
No one ever. Thankfully, no one ever got dead.
Yeah.
But it was because the shoes had no, you know, it was just like you could feel your shoes melt.
You could.
You wanted to dance,
Yeah.
so that you know your feet didn't. Anyway.
Well, on a temperate day on clay, those shoes were amazing. I'm speaking as a kid who grew up here in America. Those shoes are the best. Hey, let's
And grass.
and grass for sure. Hey, tell us about some of your early coaching influences besides the guys who coached you and people like Craig Morris, and then maybe you can get into a comment or two about David Parkin.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably where I'll go, which is, you know, so not having this early experience at 14, and I walked off the court thinking, this has got to be the greatest job in the world. Like
Yes.
coaching is just like where you get impact and the kids are happy. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just copied the person next to me. So I thought early on I wanted to be a coach. I didn't necessarily post playing then become a coach. But what happened was I got into the degree of my first choice, my first preference. It was a Bachelor of Science in Sports Coaching and Administration.
Okay.
And of course the Carlton football coach, my team, my idol, who I'd grown up just idolising. Yes.
The Blues. The Blues.
Love that CB one.
Yeah.
So basically he was the course coordinator as well as the head coach of the team.
Uh-huh.
And so I got in, and so straight away, all of a sudden, school I didn't really enjoy that much. And the minute I got into that course, I was like, wow, you know, this is where learning really begins. And I was excited about learning and being around like-minded people, and his veins were popping out of his neck at 8 o'clock, almost perspiring. I was like, oh, wow. I was like, this is so good. And I was doing a lot of boxing for like boxercise, teaching boxing, like speedball. I used to hit it with my elbows and my head. And anyway, it was really fun. And so he sort of got me into the football club, teaching the boys boxing. I was in heaven, right? And then he pulled me into his office about halfway through the year. And I'm thinking, oh, God, what have I done? He looks me in the eye and he says, have you maximised your playing potential? And I was like, what? Absolutely not.
Not yet.
You know, and no, not at all, because I was sort of getting fitter, and I was a pretty skinny, small kid. So I was sort of getting, when most girls at winning the 12s nationals, they were dropping out, because I certainly didn't do very well at all at a national or state level. But I was starting to get a lot fitter and I was a lot happier, and all of a sudden, you know, all those things collide.
Yeah.
Where I said, well, I've heard of this thing called American college tennis, and I know though some girls who've gone, I think I'm as good as them, so maybe I should go. And he's like, well, if you want to become the best coach you could be, you know, you have to maximize your playing potential. You know, he'd say it like that, husky voice, and passionate, and anyway, so another great influence like Joyce Brown and David Whedon and sorry, excuse me, let's have a sip of water. But
take a moment.
Some great influences in that course, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I wrote away handwritten VHS video in the mail. I said, whichever college writes back to me first, I'm going to go, and or rings or whatever. So I get this phone call from this guy who starts talking about a low crime rate. I was like, what the hell is a low crime rate? I was
like that's your that's your recruiting angle.
Yeah. And I thought that is hilarious. I said, I don't care, I'm going. So within 2 weeks, I was on a plane to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, like OMG, from Melbourne to the borough, and you know, my best story about that, or 2 quick stories when I got there. From a coaching perspective, like we had to hit 6 balls cross court, right? It was like day 1 practice. Yeah. Forehand cross, backhand cross, right? You had to get them in, otherwise you had to sprint 5 courts and come back, right? A simple drill. And anyway, so I hit the first one in, and I had like 6 girls behind me. You got this. You go, girl. Yeah. You got. And I was like, oh my God, in Australia, if you hit like a winner, no one even claps. You know, it's like pretty rare. And I was like, oh my God, there's like people behind me really want me to get these 6 balls in. I was like, shit, I better, you know, really focus. But so that was a pretty cool first moment. And then within the first weekend, I was at the campus pub, as you do as a student. And in Melbourne, linen clothing was really popular, right? So I had brown linen, beige linen, light blue linen. Probably no, it's not linen. But anyway, and I'd never used a dryer before.
Meaning a clothes dryer, like this kind.
Clothes dryer.
Yeah. You just hung up your laundry.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah, they did. When I was down there a couple of times, I was really impressed with Australians. They're very green oriented. They're more. My buddy that I played college tennis with. He had a bunch of on the line, dryers. They hung stuff out, and I was like, "You hung everything out." I mean, this is like underwear, socks, He goes,
everything.
Yeah, everything. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. That it's a very green country, very climate oriented, very friendly to the economy or the ecology. Yeah. So.
Yeah, absolutely. My mum is huge on recycling. She's always in the back of my mind before I throw anything out. But I see her face. But of course, what happened when I stuck it in the dryer? What do you think happened to all my linen, gentlemen?
Oh, linen. It gets wrinkly, and an M becomes an S. An L becomes an M. That's right. An XL becomes an L.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, no thanks.
Right.
Yeah. So, so it was the best thing that ever happened. Down at the Hickory Hollow Mall we went, and, my teammates threw me some plaid shirts and khaki pants, or khaki pants, as they say. And next thing you know, I was Americanized, because it's not one of those times at sort of 19, 20 where you want to stand out. You don't really want to,
No, you want to blend.
Go-getter.
Yeah,
you want to blend in.
Yeah, now you want to stand out, but back then you.
That's right, and travel with the Vegemite, and you can't go wrong. But anyway, so
I'm not with you on that. I'm sorry, I'm not with you on that. I love everything else about Australians, but Vegemite. It's not peanut butter and jelly, AJC. Let me just say that.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So, for early influences, I guess. So when I got after that, sort of ended up finishing my degree back in Melbourne, transferred my credits back, and then just got on a plane again and just literally just knocked on academies' doors in Florida. Just rocked up, couldn't get a job, and so I just rocked up on doorsteps at Saddlebrook and Butterfield, the Bolletary, and just said, "You're the person that didn't call me back. I'm here to work. If you can give me free food and accommodation for a week, then I'll do anything you want for free. And then after that, if you think I'm any good, then please offer me a job." And that was a great early influence of learning the look and having no idea what I was doing, and just watching Venus and Serena train when the beads, when they had the beads on, and just running on the treadmill next to Capriati at Saddlebrook, and just like little things, like a little drill I learned from Sampras with he stuck a little quarter on the top of his racket and he was flipping it back, and I just really cool little things like that. And
really cool.
Very strong early coaching influences. That,
was Melanie Zog and her daughter Martina Hingis, were they there at the time at Saddlebrook?
Yeah, Hingis was there, yeah. And that's, Dave Taylor is obviously an incredible Australian coach and Fed Cup coach. So, right at the end of sort of when I was there, but, crossed over enough to sort of get to meet him. And, obviously the deep tradition that runs through Saddlebrook, and with Howard Moore and obviously great Harry Hopman. And,
you're going way back. On the Melbourne side of how you grew up, any influences from the great Bob Brett, who we respect and love so much?
he unfortunately mainly works with men, and because his niece is a very, very close friend of mine. She was a pro player, and her and I just hung out last week in Arizona, actually.
Oh, wow. Here in the States.
Yeah. She's now a DJ. So criminal justice lawyer turned DJ, and had a song hit on the UK Billboard charts. I know you boys are into music. Check out a song called Busted. So her stage name Bowie Jane, and she, certainly her and I grew up playing tennis against each other.
Right.
And, so I heard stories about the great man, and of course, really sad about last week's news. And so just being around her and hearing stories about his life, that he was very much into men's tennis, and obviously he'd only go to Australia for the Australian Open, so just that short period, and then he was gone from, I think, the age of 18. She was saying
he was mainly based in Europe, but sometimes wherever the tour or Boris or Goran or Cilic took him. Hey, speaking of Pro Tour, tell us about you coaching on the Pro Tour after college tennis and Saddlebrook.
Yeah, so basically my journey really started in, I love the concept of stretchy comfort zone. So my sort of degree ended up specialising in sort of strength and conditioning. So I started out in that sort of field. So I got a lot of opportunities just at a state level to be, say, the strength and conditioning coach, but I also was a tennis coach. So therefore, if you think about who could they take away on a team tour, I sort of ticked that box of somebody who had strength and conditioning knowledge and could be a tennis coach and was female. So I sort of had the three, ticks to then be able to take away, the first team that I ever took away to New Zealand, again, under 12s Australian team. And then shortly, a couple of years there, and we took them, a couple of tours to Florida and taking kids away. And so then it was the 14s, and then it was, Junior Fed Cup, did that a couple of times. And then recently again in 2018, I did the Australian Junior Fed Cup. We won Asia Oceania and then finished sixth in Budapest.
You
in the
did.
final.
That's not too shabby. Tell us about your influence on these young women playing tennis, and are some of them, they must be in their 20s by now, or maybe 30.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that was early 2000s.
Okay.
A lot of them, the cool thing is I've been to their one wedding. One of them's just had a baby. So, I keep in contact with them on that level. Some of them then did go on. And so in terms of the senior tour, was more as a mindset conditioning sort of role. Because I did have just before sort of getting into mindset stuff. So I'll get to that in a minute. But
we will, yeah.
It's important just to go back a step and just let everyone know. I think after that, those sort of early 2000s on the tour, I had that moment where I was like, oh my goodness, like I don't think I could do this anymore. Like it is hard, and it is. I take a team away, a big team often as well, and I was like, I can only relate to half my players. Like, why can't I bring out the best in these half, or why can't I understand this parent better, and I really didn't have enough tools in my coaching toolkit at that young age.
You were very young, yeah.
Yeah, well, sort of late 20s sort of time frame, and I guess I got out of tennis thinking, I was pretty burnt out as well. It's a huge part of your life. You go through phases, and I actually needed to sort of go and study everything I could to do with human development, personal growth, life coaching, business coaching, emotional intelligence, neuro-linguistic programming. And what happened was it catapulted me back into the tennis world. And so I guess, so then I was coming back with that fresh lens cap, and certainly then the whole mindset, the conditioning and getting the best out of players on that side of it.
Yeah.
And also not calling parents high maintenance anymore. I just call them now happy Mondays. They're HMs, but not high maintenance.
Right. The better HM. Yeah.
Yeah. Because once I just realized they're auditory data learners, or their certain personality that I needed to communicate in a different way. And I had that moment where I was like, oh wow, I have to change who I am as a coach. Oh, wow. No one told me that. Wow. If you're not kinesthetic and extrovert, then it's the bucks. But so that was a real aha moment. And so then fortunately, I've been able to work with a number of players on the tour, and usually over at least a 1 year period. That all these relationships I've had, where it's like a weekly sort of mindset conditioning check-in. So,
Emma, I'd like to take.
That's been really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to take that word mindset and use it as a springboard for the moment. Two dives I want to take. The first one, I'd like to talk about your mindset and some of the things that you did to go from those parents are high maintenance to I see happy Mondays. Win or lose, I see happy Mondays. So take us through, if you could, your mindset in making that bit of growth. And then the second question will be, take us through what you see in the mindset, whether it's you changing it or the mindset of a young champion who cultivates, win or lose, cultivates improvement, development, and a happy Monday.
Two great questions. So really the penny dropped when when you can remove yourself. I mean, I physically removed myself from tennis for at least 12 months. But if you need to rise above, like that's probably my best sort of tip and what a skill that, I call it now the Hawkeye. When you can rise above a situation and you can go, oh, okay, that's the parent's perspective, that's the player's perspective, and then there's the coach perspective. And then what's Hawkeye's perspective of this situation, to be able to really just have real empathy, to be able, it's not being able to necessarily, somebody said to me the other day, a mentor of mine said, Emma, it's not about necessarily walking in someone's shoes. It's not like I can be a parent. I mean, I don't have children. I'm an incredible auntie. 6 amazing nieces.
You're a very popular auntie to more than 6 people, to hundreds of people, really.
Yeah, so, but I can't necessarily be, a parent, right? But if I can walk alongside them and see what they see, then I can understand their map of the world, because often we have a saying in NLP, the map is not the territory. And I love that line. I love that line. The map is not the territory. Because what someone will say emotionally after a match and the child's just come off, the parent is just like, saying, to the coach, usually it's like, oh, in practice, you practiced that 1,000 times. Why couldn't they see that?
Have we heard this before? Have we heard any of this before?
No, I never have.
I think
I'm writing all this down. That's why you see me down here, because I've never heard this. That's why sometimes you don't see my head, and then I'm writing stuff down as fast as I can go.
All tennis coaches have heard this from parents, I'm sure.
So my passion and the way that I changed my mindset was through practical strategies. I mean, that's the way I coach. It's the way, with all this virtual coaching, the reason I think I've had success with webinars is because everything I do is about a practical strategy. All right, now try the Hawkeye. Now try the journaling piece. Now go and give this tool a go and add it to your parenting toolkit, add it to your coaching toolkit, add it to your playing toolkit. And so I think that was, I needed to physically remove. I'm not saying everyone needs to jump out of tennis to have their aha moment. But certainly I think that that was what happened for my transformation. So that would be the first part. And then and one other huge thing is what I briefly touched on before, but it's so important that we have a behavioral style or personality style. We have a learning preference style. And quite often we just subconsciously teach that way. So being able to strengthen the area that you're least preferred in as a coach is really critical. So my least preference was back in the day, chapter 1, back when I used to, parents thought I was a really good coach because I was loud and they could hear me. Yeah, that's not what makes a great coach.
You're not supposed to do that?
We always joke about this.
The louder you're supposed to be. I've been called a tool, too. Is that good? You're speaking of tools. I guess that's not good, huh?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, sorry, Emma.
No.
That's good.
Oh, now I've lost my train of thought.
Oh, no, yeah.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to mix up trains of thought.
So let's say you're weaker at this but stronger at these. So let's strengthen this.
Thanks, AJ. And one of them was the auditory digital learners. So they honestly just need a criteria. They need A, B, C, D. And if you miss step C, which I quite often do because I'm up here, big picture thinker, and creative type, I'm very right brain.
Yeah.
So they're very left brain, and you miss that step, and then the minute you you go, oh, okay, they just needed all the information and they just need all the training blocks in advance. And they just want to know how you're going to progress their child from A to B.
Right.
Like they understand that it's, the kid learning doesn't go in a straight line, but if you don't actually have a plan on how to do that, or you don't express your plan, then you're gonna lose half your clients. So that's that side. So part two of your question
about Happy Mondays and the mindset of those players and parents too.
Yep. So I think definitely the ones. Well, first of all, let me just say there is a huge issue, with anxiety these days. It's probably the number one thing that I'm seeing with student athletes. Just this concept of being in the future or they're in the past constantly. So, we can talk about all those, have a growth mindset, and all those things are really important. But one of the things I think that's really missing is being able to be really present.
Yes.
And truly listen and just be in the moment, whether that's in the battle of competition or whether that's, having a conflict conversation without your mind making this, these subconscious judgments that unfortunately, so many countries and societies, and especially, over the last 12 months, we've just seen such division that we're not really truly listening. We're just thinking it through our lens cap and what we want to say. And so I think that, that's one of the things I'm finding I'm helping a lot of this people with right now. And it's practical strategies. One of my favorites is just an iPod, which is, imagine this big bubble around your body and you put it in your favorite color, and it's just an interesting point of view. Just an interesting iPod,
POV, yeah.
Yeah, an interesting point of view. And, once, kids can learn how to put up that bubble and maybe, other people are projecting their own stuff onto you, but it's just an interesting point of view. And then you can decide whether you want to take on the feedback. Usually I have to teach kids how to reframe parental feedback as well. Like, how do you reframe it when the parent says you should quit because I've spent so much money on your tennis, into, what's useful. So that's an extreme example. But so there's lots of little practical tools, but I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm seeing people suffer with. And the solution is in how you become into this present moment. For us to even do this podcast here today, it's about getting, ourselves in the right mindset. It's even the music that you played at the start sets you then into the mode of, right, we're doing the podcast. I know that sounds crazy, but you can do the same with a song before you play a match. Oh,
I mean, even certain kinds of breathing or certain kinds of out of body experience, i.e., the Hawkeye example, or the just an interesting point of view. Can you relate, or can you give us some examples of how that has been an anti-anxiety tool for a player that you've worked with or met?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of my most successful comments, and I won't say the player's name just for confidentiality, but literally was, the fact that this girl is still playing tennis. So, I say, like, she was about 160 WTA and now she's 230. And I'm like, she's still playing the game. Like, and this girl's now 20. So, huge anxiety.
Really?
Issues. And we're talking about, top players. I mean, that's one of my all-time favorite stories about the 12 months that we spent. And now when I check in with her not like we used to. It used to be at least once a week, if not twice. And now it's like, I used this tool today, and I'm like, you've got that's our job, surely, isn't it? To make ourselves redundant. I mean, kind of.
Right. Well done there. And what a great feeling you're going through. Like, she's telling you that, okay, thank you for this tool. I'm using it.
Yeah, exactly. And, and then on the flip side also, I work, I'm into unleashing human potential, right? So it's not just WTA players. Like, I worked with a woman who wanted to run the New York Marathon, and her coach was like one of those really berating, like he just berate her in the gym.
I see.
So when she came to me, her self-confidence, like she didn't even know if she could even like finish it. Like even though she definitely like on paper, like I'm looking at her times and her splits for, kilometers, and I'm thinking you could easily run this marathon. But what the biggest thing that helped her, which I love this story because it relates really well to tennis, was she ran that marathon one step at a time. One step at a time.
In the moment.
In the moment. And so she had anchors, she had this anchor, she had definitely had the bubble thing going on. She completed that, and she's in her 60s, So
wow. Not a middle-aged, not a college kid. This was
hey, watch it.
She was Craig's age.
Watch what you're saying, 60s. Be careful where you're going. I might turn this interview off. Yeah.
Well, you've been asleep half the moment,
Oh, no, I'm listening. Trust me.
AJ keeps elbowing you to wake you up. But,
no, I'm sitting over here in the corner.
Not at all. He's taking care of all this.
CV4 is still with us?
CV4.
Yes.
He is chatboxing it up and producing, basically.
It is 8:45 at night. I'm getting a little tired.
It is, yeah. You're in your 60s. Yeah, you got to have the... Emma, good stuff. I want to transition a little bit into you coaching coaches now. And if you'd like, let's be honest, you also coach parents, whether they know it or not. So I'd love for you to fold that in a little bit. And then maybe we can talk about you becoming a speaker as you reinvented yourself and took a bit of time off and came back to it. I'm speaking probably about something that's highly trending now, which is online education, i.e. symposiums, Zoom, private instruction online, which we've had some experience. I know you've had a lot of it, and we've had people like Jorge Valverde who talks about mental anchors, and he does probably more online education than he does in person and on the phone because of COVID. So tell us a little bit about this this aspect to what you're doing, and then maybe we'll get into current and future projects and have you sort of take people through what you're doing. But right now, tell us about coaching coaches and parents.
One thing at a time. You're like, you give me 10 things to remember. I love that about you. I'm just an Aussie, mate. Let's start with number
Emma,
one.
Emma, only because I want to make sure you're reaching your full potential.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. Why, thank you, darling. Why, thank you.
Yes.
So pretty much one of the reasons I got back into coach education was after I had that sort of experience, and I thought to myself, gee, if I only know half those tools, like tennis coaching courses, as we know, they cover the technique, the tactics, and touch a little bit on mindset, but that's one of the reasons I got into coaching coaches how to coach. And I'm really glad I did because, again, it's that opportunity that I feel really humbled to have had through Tennis Australia.
Yes.
So I ran so many courses for them, met so many great learning facilitators, and influenced by the pedagogy of people like Mitchell Hewitt and Belinda Colinari, and people that I could work alongside, Rufus Kewen, great names, great coaches. And so that opportunity of coaching coaches was then how I sort of even began doing little workshops. I ran a couple of workshops on my own, and then I started that really kick-started some speaking opportunities with regards to that, as well as, by the way, I ran my own business, Tennis Innovations. I've also done the grind. So 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. I've done ended up 400 kids, and then I went to a large indoor centre and managed over 80 staff. We had 10 different multi-sport centre and only 5 courts. So I was able to have a lot of experience in sort of that side of it, especially the people management side.
Yes. And
how to writing programs, and so that feeds nicely into some of the mentoring that I do now online with a lot of coaches. But that really, the speaking was now, I think this is 8th or 9th year. So it was about 8 or 9 years ago that I had an opportunity to speak in Mexico at the ITF. I mean, I don't know whether this is a good result in the end, because it was my first ever conference. It was the ITF conference, and everything was included, like all your food, all your alcohol. Yes, imagine this, for 7 days. And I was, meeting Nick Bollettieri and Judy Murray, and that's where I met all my heroes. And there I am, doing this little presentation in a back room, thinking, who the hell is Emma Doyle? Like, do I, I'm not a pro player, and do I even belong here? And all those self-limiting doubts that we all have. And but that was my first ever sort of experience. I don't know if any other conferences topped it really, but I met Piotr from Poland. I do now a lot of work in Poland. I've spoken at every single one of the Italian, the Italian Federation conferences there, and have some hilarious stories about that, maybe for a whole nother podcast. But
love it.
But yeah, just so that really kick-started that opportunity. And of course, there is a little bit of tall poppy syndrome in Australia, so I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna just go to America. I think they sometimes like my energy, maybe a little bit.
We do not have tall poppy syndrome here. We love a tall poppy in America.
Yeah.
we encourage that, like the five girls behind you. Like, you got this. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
exactly.
It's in our DNA to be very, very encouraging and a little bit loud, right?
Yeah. Have you seen it's total off topic, but Ted Lasso? Have you seen that Netflix, is it one of those?
What is it, Ted?
Anyway. Ted Lasso. It's about this American coach who goes over to Britain to coach a FA soccer team. I highly recommend it.
Oh, really?
Because my partner's like, you're like Ted Lasso, because he's like, has all these. They want him to fail. Like he's up against it, and he's not really. He's the only way he knows how to coach, because he's come from coaching like a high school team, is to be so positive.
Positive.
So, it's like the power of positivity, and anyway, it's an absolute classic. I really highly recommend it, especially for coaches, if you want a light
I love it. I love it. Hey, couple quick questions from the crowd.
Yep.
Have you had any experience with people who aren't a very, very high level of tennis, or maybe people who are in the adaptive or wheelchair world, or ball kids too? Tell us about some of the things that you've learned from them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's sometimes it's hard for me to be passionate about one area, because I love the whole gamut. I mean, I've always maybe struggled with this a little bit. Like, I love fundamental perceptual motor skills for 2 to 5 year olds. Worked a little bit with kids with autism, and I play Minecraft every single week. Like,
really?
We just do Minecraft like week 1 Minecraft, week 2 Minecraft, and every week we do the same thing. He collects the mud, and then he collects the bricks, and then the stone, and then he builds a house out of cones every week. But I just change it up. It's consistency week 1, then it's zones of the court week 2. But he doesn't know that. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And his mum is like, this is like, he doesn't want to miss his tennis lesson. And definitely had some experience with coaching some wheelchair athletes. I mean, the most humble athletes in the world. Dylan Aycote going for his 7th Australian Open Grand Slam.
Unreal.
Absolute champion, idol of a role model, incredible. So the hub to me, I love like the language of wheelchair tennis. And but not just dabbled in that. Wouldn't say spend a lot of time in that world, but enjoy it. I love to watch it, so I definitely the whole gamut is something that a big part also within my journey. How I'm always trying to reinvent my relationship with tennis a little bit.
Yes,
it's not like I've just ever been, which may come up, the whole dating doubles for singles. I don't know.
It's coming up. It's coming up for sure in set number 2. We want to ask a couple other questions. One is about other sports. You played other sports like footy, netball, or handball. Tell us about your encouragement of young players developing their overall bodies and their sporting psyches playing other sports, or are you in the camp of, hey, you got to specialize early because tennis is tough now? Where are you on this?
Give me a bucket. Not the latter. I'm not in the latter camp.
I could tell.
No, I'm a multi-sport encouragement. I still think even we book them into tennis lessons too early. I mean, I'm my multi-skills program, when I ran it at my last business, I mean, we tried to encourage even like up to 5 or 6 still be doing cross-body coordination, hand-eye, hand-foot, if possible, at least until, you're sort of 13, 14, So I'm a huge fan of that. And having said that, please note, with my presentation last week at the Aussie Open Virtual Conference, Orange Stage, the misunderstood middle child. I mean, to me, we rushed through that stage. That is where we hook kids on tennis, where we teach them how to fall in love with the shape of the court being longer, and of course transition, doubles. We don't need to talk about the amazing Australian doubles combinations over the years.
For sure.
Still today, but we're Aussies, we play doubles. So
you volley.
That's our great can volley.
Yeah, can volley.
That's our greatest opportunity to hook kids on tennis. Now, I'm not saying then you hook them and that's it. I'm saying hook them, so that's one of their sports, and stay in that stage as long as sort of longer than what you think.
Yeah.
And don't let the parents dictate, that they want to move them up into real tennis, onto the real ball. I mean, just get a ball that looks like that. That's a real ball, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all real.
It's got a green dot on it.
Yeah. We've got some foam ones that are real. We've got pickleballs that are real.
I've been to online pickleball. Is that pretty good? Online pickleball. That's a new sport. Is online pickleball, is that good?
Definitely.
Online pickleball. That's the new sport.
That's the new gig. Emma, one more from our listeners.
Yes.
This is a neat one. I loved your point about if somebody is kinesthetic and an extrovert, but the weaknesses are here, so let's get good at this as mentors, as coaches, as influences. What if a coach doesn't have your energy and your passion? How are you coaching that person to acquire the skills to be energetic and passionate in a way that's effective and joyful in the way she or he communicates?
Yeah, well, number one, like you would with a new student that walks in the door, when a coach walks in the door into my world, I want to know everything I can about that coach and what are they passionate about, what makes them tick and what makes them unique. And I've got a cool little thing on YouTube if anyone just wants to take a little deeper dive.
Let's do.
Does your personality match your game style? It was from Tennis Congress a few years ago. So, are you the crowd pleaser? Are you the aggressive baseline personality? Are you the all-court player, or are you the consistent player? So just 4 really simple behavioural styles. Find out which one that comes naturally to you, and then do the same with the learning preferences. You can take that many different online tests. You can use just a simple VARC, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or you can take a little deeper dive, but just gather that information. Once you've got that information, I mean, some of my all-time favorites, like my all-time favorite mentor, he's a kendo coach, Japanese sword fighting.
Oh, kendo,
he's like, he's just got so much wisdom, and when he speaks, everyone just like goes, including me. I'm like there with my notepad writing down anything that comes out of his mouth. So his energy is there. So I call that your energy signature. So what's your energy signature? What makes you unique? And if you're not a huge voice projection person, no problem. Whisper or find tools like tap the net twice. Bring the kids into you, and find different ways to really explore, in sales, what your unique selling proposition. Find what makes you uniquely you, and that's energy, and then the passion comes through. And what do you like to coach? I mean, even though I do enjoy all the age groups, sometimes we can't be everything to all people, or all age groups. Or if you want to have a certain area that you want. I know as a teaching pro, you've got to be able to do maybe a little bit of everything, depending on the size of the club you're at. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think they're the 2 most important things out of that question that I would say.
Good stuff. Craig, let's head over to set number 2.
Who's
who we rolling with tonight? Who's our sponsor for set 2?
That would be the great Blair Descaret with Master Systems. He's our set 2 guy, isn't he? Isn't he usually?
Yeah, quick plug. He does, of course, tennis courts, but sort of like At the Net podcast, anything with a net. So
he does
basketball, pickleball, online pickleball.
Online pickleball. Yeah. Yes. He's big in online pickleball.
A little bit of everything.
He can set that up on a good court
That's
online.
Right.
It's easy to do. For Blair Descaret. He does all sorts of accessories, anything that you have to do with resurfacing, court products, anything. Check out Master Systems with Blair Descaret, right?
Good stuff.
Yep.
And as we head into set 2, and most of our regular listeners know set 2 is about our guests' current projects and future projects, I want to talk a little bit about Dream Seekers, and then I want to talk about that dating app that you heard. That's so cool. It's so fun. It's called Doubles for Singles. Pick one, either Dream Seekers or Doubles for Singles, and let's tell us about what you're doing with that.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Doubles for Singles because it was a while ago. But just another example, I think, of always reinventing your relationship, with your sport, what you could do for clubs. But funny story, because, literally it was born about my best mate who actually, at the time, she'd just come off the tour. She played a couple of Wimbledons, made I think third round in doubles. And anyway, she's like, I'm like, listen, I'm going to hand find you a bloke. So I was like, right, so I'm starting a business called Doubles for Singles. So clever catchy name.
Yeah.
And of course, we ran it on tennis courts once a month, and then we do table tennis tables in pubs on the other the next month. And I would one of the coolest things about it, I think, was the fact that I had a couple of rules at the start. Like, you weren't allowed to buy straight away, get rid of those questions. And instead, I actually hand-fed the questions, like, what do you like to eat for breakfast on a Sunday morning? Or where's your favourite holiday destination? As they gave each other a Wimbledon Pims and, so little clever things. And we had, like, the love hoops, so when they rotated partners every 3 minutes.
I see.
I would give the question, like, so they could talk. And and then all of a sudden you'd rotate into the drill. So then... and it was really fun. It was a laugh. People always ask me about it. I got 2 marriages out of it. Only one is still together, 50-50 on. It was right before the RSVP. Like, I should have turned it into an app. I mean, it definitely wasn't an app. This was a live sort of event.
Analog, real, organic, real deal.
Yeah, real deal. The only heartbreak for me was about 2 days before the event. See, the women, talk about subtle gender differences, would register online, pay up front, confirm they were coming. I would get a call, and my younger brother was single at the time. He loved me during that year, and he'd ring me and go, me and 5 mates want to rock up today. Is that cool? And I'd be like, oh shit!
At the last second, right?
Yeah. So I'd be like, trying to get the even numbers. I should have just done it, made it LGBT, and then it would have been fine. But anyway, It was always a little stress on the day. Like, I was like, you don't want to have, lopsided numbers, as we know, for tournaments or events, or I'm sure you can all relate to.
For sure, even mixed doubles. Yeah,
I think Nikki Kick should be. You think Nikki would enjoy being on that site? Nick Kyrgios?
Kyrgios.
Yes.
Mate, you call yourself a journalist, mate. Piss off. Next question.
So you never know. See, he's single.
We have been talking about tools.
That's right.
Anyway.
He famously called Djokovic a tool.
Right. What do you think about that, Joker?
Joker. Let me start with Nick. I mean, if you can't beat me, how are you going to be a all-time great, right? I mean, I don't even train.
Right.
Like, Nick is 2-0 against Djokovic.
Yeah, for some reason,
amazing.
He has his number. Right, he does that. So,
well, on the court and off the court, I feel like I will put the preparation in, and I hope I can earn a match with Nick one day in his country. No, it's going to be a very tough match.
Something special, maybe.
Something special.
Right.
So Emma, that is hilarious. And are you doing anything in the any plans for the future for things like this, events like this? No, that was it.
No, done and dusted.
Tick.
But
one and done.
however, there is something in the whole questioning. There is something in that around how to ask a great question. Great coaches ask great questions.
Yes.
Knowing when, how, why, what to ask. I mean, that really, to me, when I see a coach jump in a space and ask a great question, that's when I get really excited. When you can see that learning and that problem solving, be really encouraged. It's one of my all-time sort of favorite things to watch in a coach.
Of course, our backgrounds are tennis. I had a bit of a comedy background, and I was always inspired when you and I did some work together on that symposium with On Court, Off Court in the summer. You were inspired by a brilliant comedian from London who asked questions. She's not a tennis coach, but really she is, right? Because she asked questions. One of them I'm about to ask you. What color is tennis to you, Emma?
Oh, great question. I'm going to go with blue, baby blue right now. It's what's in my reticular activating system with seeing the Australian Open everywhere, and last week with the virtual conference, but just it's that beautiful blue,
that bright, happy
bright
sort of
blue, happy, like the sun's always, well, not always shining in Melbourne, but
usually
it is here in Colorado, even with the snow. But I think it's a beautiful colour. The Australian Open is a beautiful event, as you both know, and the way it's spread out and the way that you can access tickets. I mean, I got an email today, I must say, like, tickets are cheapest I've ever seen. I was like, I could get front row at Margaret Court Arena for $60. I'm not sure I want to go to that arena, but anyway, that's another topic.
That will be.
Don't ask me.
That's another podcast.
Part 3.
That's another podcast.
That's part 2. Okay, how about another question from our favorite? First of all, remind us of the name of this brilliant comic from London.
Emma Stroud.
Clowning
Around is her podcast.
Excellent.
And it's brilliant. She's brilliant. If you ever go to see her show live, it's all about being the art of being yourself. It's not called that, but
No.
So she takes serious concepts and turns them into comedy. And I think her TEDx, she's wearing a banana costume on her TEDx.
Not a yellow costume, an actual banana.
A costume, an actual costume banana.
That's hilarious.
She does the whole talk in that. But yeah, I forgot to mention that in my speaking. That was probably one of the highlights of my speaking journey so far. Unleashing female potential, the TEDx experience.
That was your TEDx.
But that was 33 drafts, 6 months preparation over in 13 minutes. It was after failure. So, but anyway, I just thought I'd.
I mean, that's the ratio of what Olympic athletes go through. They train for 4 years and they absolutely rock for 2 minutes or 13 minutes or whatever it is.
It was nerve-wracking, really nerve-wracking experience. And it's very Texas, actually. Like that, I was the first speaker and they'd forgotten to close the door. And so this guy in a bright orange cowboy hat walks. I've just started, like I'm a couple of minutes in. And he walks down the front of it sits he's got a bright orange, this huge hat on. And in my mind, I'm thinking, what the hell is a guy in a bright orange cowboy hat doing? And in that moment, my whole talk, it just left me, just disappeared. And anyway, I took a breath. It looks like I'm pausing for effect if you ever get a chance to watch it. But I'm not. I'm absolutely going, my talk has left me. The orange cowboy hat has completely occupied my mind. And then took a breath. Thank God that I'd practiced enough, and it just came flooding back. So,
was it just an interesting point of view moment for you? Did you employ that tool?
Well, it was micro. It was more just the repetition, kick back into the moment because of repetition. Yes. So I didn't have enough time to implement just an iPod. But,
We usually go to the Topo Chico.
That's our pause. That's our take a moment.
Yeah. Trying to figure out where we're going. We have a lot of those moments. You can see I'm almost done with mine. So
I'm almost done. Hey, can you tell us a bit about Dream Seekers?
Oh, yeah. So that's, a pretty cool little project. Again, I know COVID's helped a lot of people reinvent themselves.
Yes.
Actually, I mean, I'll get to that in a minute, but one of the first things I think, besides meeting you, of course, with the virtual tennis symposium that we did for parents, bridging that gap for the parent player, the triad, I had all these tennis videos sitting on a USB that I'd never done anything with, but I've been filming for like 10 years. And so last year I had the opportunity to launch 11 online courses through these, videos. So that's one crazy thing that came out. And then the other crazy thing that came out was the Dream Seeker in that people, we talk a lot about high performance. There's like high performance coaches now are everywhere. I mean, I did a qualification back in Australia so many years ago anyway, like where it says, that I'm a high performance coach, whatever that really does mean. But I was getting these inquiries from people that were like, listen, I want to just train in a high performing environment. So now I call it a high performing environment, right? And I've been playing tennis for 1 year and I'm 32 years of age. And, and at first though, the Facebook post was like, I'm looking for a high performance coach, and I thought it was for like her player, or she was the parent of the player. So when I first got on the Zoom, and then she goes, I've got a confession, I am the player. And I remember thinking, because I do this, this work with my partner as well, who's, she was amazing, like pro player, pro golfer, everything. So she's got that mentoring side, and together we couldn't really look at each other and go, oh my God, like, you serious? And then in the end, of course, it's been a tremendous experience,
really?
Like being able to do it virtually, being able to do it online. But first was like, okay, well, you've got to do DNA testing, you've got to do musculoskeletal screening, you've got to go get podiatry, you've got to make sure your body's okay, make sure this is okay, that, rah, rah, rah. And if it is, and you really want to train 3 hours a day, okay, well, here's your program.
Yeah.
And, now we're towards the end of the first training block, 12 weeks. And she's like, I'm already living my dream. Like, I'm training like in a high-performing
professional
environment.
player. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's huge.
And so then, that's the kickoff story. And then, of course, once you put something out in the universe, like we all know what happens. Yeah, another guy who I was mentoring as a coach, he's like, you know what, at the David Parkin moment, he goes, I don't think I've maximized my playing potential.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what, I quit tennis when I was really young because I got a girlfriend, and now we're not together anymore. So I want to see what I can do with my tennis.
As a player, as an athlete, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm in Denver going, no problem. Whereas 12 months ago, I mean, I didn't even know what a landing page was,
website.
let alone, I've had everything on Zoom. I mean, you name it. We've been hacked. We've been, all sorts of things go wrong. The fire alarm goes off in the middle of presentations, and now you just roll with it. So that's been a really cool sort of experience. And they, a friend of ours was like, oh, well, you're like sort of coach like these dream seekers. And then it kind of really, I started to go, okay, well, this is pretty cool. And now I'm going to really dive deeper into this, with regards to preparation, curiosity, and resilience is what makes a dream seeker. So if you
let's repeat those. Let's repeat those three. Preparation.
CPR, easy to remember. Not cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
What's the C?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. P is preparation, and R.
Resilience. Yeah, because there'll be the naysayers. You've got to be able to deal with the naysayers. If you're not curious, though, in the first place, if you don't even have that possibility, like anything's possible mindset, if you don't go, wow, what could I do, or how far could I go, or you really have to have that. It doesn't have to be tennis; it can be any sort of area of your life. And then you've got to do that preparation. You've got to put the right team in place. It's not, it's not just me doing it. It's basically project managing a number of people who you're almost hand selecting those personalities to be the right fit for the player.
Yes, yes. I love the CPR. So, thanks for that. And I know whether you're into tennis or not, our listeners are going to just love that and learn from that and be inspired.
I was about to go get the CPR paddles. And,
you got the was it defibrillator?
Yeah, we had the defib over there.
Yeah.
I could have got
Defib,
It's right over here, to my right, about 20 steps away. But that's not it. I take it.
Hey, Emma, the last bit of set 2 here. You were just virtually at the Oz Open. You did something about middle child and orange ball. Let's jump ahead to February 8th, or maybe even between now and Feb 8th when the Oz Open actually begins, and tell us who you like and what the vibe was, because, again, you couldn't fly there as you always do.
Yeah.
But you were there in spirit and in Zoom. So tell us a little bit about your impressions. If you'd like, we can start with the lead-up tournaments, because they're doing something very different with quarantine and then giving everybody 2 tournaments, whether they're quarantined or not, at the site at Melbourne Park. And then maybe you can talk a little bit about who your favorites are and who you think will do great in. We can start with women's dubs, women's singles, men's dubs, men's singles, and then maybe mixed if you'd like.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing I noticed, Craig Tyler kicks it off every year, and I've got a tremendous amount of respect for Craig. I think he's a tremendous leader. Yeah. And he listens, but he looked like he hadn't slept, to be honest. He looked a little tired. I mean, I didn't tell him that, but no, he looked tired, and he looked like he was juggling a lot of things. But, again, he didn't look stressed.
Yeah.
So he looked like he hadn't slept, but he's just very calm, even keeled. And I just want to say, if I can, a quick word about, my whole family's there in Melbourne, and, the 111-day extreme lockdown was really tough on the residents of Melbourne. And, I'm talking about you can only leave the house for 1 hour a day. You can't drive more than 5 kilometres, and that's only to go to the groceries. Like, it was really a really strict lockdown. And to the point where, whether that was right or wrong, plenty of people have opinions around that. The really important thing to note is how they've reduced the cases. So, the point is, before we even get to the players, and, it's just to say that people, I've known for many, that's why I'm not home, is because of the strict 14 days, get in a hotel, it's sort of $6,000, let alone the flights, let alone everything else. So that's always been there. That's not a new thing. And so I think, that's just important to let people know. Maybe people didn't know that. And Victoria as a state had the highest number of cases. And then they've been able to significantly reduce that. So that's why it is the way it is. And I think that they're doing a great job, and if people wanted to complain, then get there earlier. Like, this is that this has been around for a while, and there's so many other things, that you could be working on and be resilient and, tactically from a visualization perspective, and there's so many other things. But I'm not sure if that was what you were asking, but anyway, I just wanted to mention that about Melbourne and the way that's unfolded. And obviously I want Ash Barty to win. Yeah, go Ash.
Aussie.
Oi. Love that. But she's a favourite, maybe, who knows what form-wise. How can you even predict what sort of form anyone's going to be in? Very hard to predict. But maybe some advantage in terms of, the fact she has been able to be at home training and so forth. And of course, I think in the guys, Alex Demir, I think he's a worker, and he's our little Leighton Hewitt. He's still, to me, looks a little to do any damage, but I do enjoy watching his fighting capacity and then with a couple of other extreme names there, who knows? Flip a coin and see which side of the bed they rolled out on. But look, I will say I took Bernard Tomic away when he was 12, and he used to stand at the net, right? And he would literally be there, and he could go like Newcomb, and then he'd go like Laver,
lefty.
But he would just throw his racket into the hand and copy the greats of the game, and he's just exceptional sort of hands back then. But so who knows with those? But but if I was a gambling woman, I'd probably go for Serena and Djokovic. So probably where I put my money.
Yeah.
What about Rafa?
Yeah, I think depending on the weather, it depends. February, my goodness, in Melbourne, roll the dice. But I think that does take its toll on the body, and he is a machine, and he's the Rock, isn't he? So
he is. Yeah,
you can't discount him either, and
we like Rafa a lot.
Well, Emma, thank you very much. No, I appreciate your confidence. No, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna listen to my coach, Carlos Moya. Gonna listen to my other coach, Emma Doyle. No, and hopefully a good week, good 2 weeks in your hometown.
No more Uncle Tony, right?
No more Uncle Tony. Sad. Love Tio Tony. Love that man. Yeah.
So and I interviewed Storm Sanders recently. I'm doing a project around left-in for lefties only, so that's been a fun little one, and she's, I'd like to see her get, maybe a couple of rounds in with Ellen Perez. I don't know who she's playing doubles with yet, but that'd be nice to see. I don't know, just throwing out a few more Aussie names just to to mix it up, I when I was a ball girl, I used to follow. Do you remember Catherine Tombier?
Yeah,
Ooh,
French,
yeah, the French gal.
French
Yeah,
player,
yeah. I used to follow her as Allez Tombier, Allez Tombier.
Allez.
Yeah, allez, just like a little ball girl, So I like sometimes those, just maybe some names that people might not have heard of, and
Good.
John Millman, he's a great Aussie ambassador, and so forth. So,
Yeah, Millman's tremendous. He's taken out Roger Federer at the U.S. Open. That guy's got chops. And I believe he had match points with Fed last year at this tournament, the Australian Open. Yeah,
Johnny
that guy's
Millman.
a serious baller, yeah. Well, let's get to third set, friends. Craig Bell, what do you got? You got some fun pop culture stuff. Emma's already given us some musical entries, and we've been able to promote this episode with something from The Greatest Showman, of course, something from Rocky. We've had something from Hamilton. So buckle up, listeners. Here's Craig Bell and Emma Doyle. What do you got for the third
set? This will be fun. Hopefully.
Now I'm nervous.
Oh, yeah. I would be too. I would be too. AJ's always nervous because he never knows what I'm going to be saying.
Nice.
I'm here for comedic relief, not for serious journalism.
You got to, I'm so happy I took 10 improv classes in the 90s to prepare for this.
Right. Like I said, I'm from Oklahoma. First band you saw in concert. First band Emma Doyle saw in concert.
In
probably.
Excess.
What's that? In Excess.
Suicide Blonde.
Oh.
Lived in Excess.
Yeah.
Michael Hutchinson in a pair of leather pants.
Ooh.
One.
Oh, that guy. And that was what, early 90s? When was that? Or Suicide Blonde, I believe it was like 91, 92?
Yeah, but it was earlier than that. But I saw.
Of course. Oh, it was.
Yeah, I think it was like
probably the Kick tour, late 80s. Yeah, the Kick tour. Yeah, that was a good one.
Midnight Oil sort of was the second. Roxette was the third. Roxette.
Swedish gal, yeah.
We had that actually. One of our online commenters from Facebook, Nick Smith, asked about that. In Excess Ice House. In Excess Ice House.
Yeah. Crowded House. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Love it.
What about now? Here's
John
some other.
Farnham.
John, there we go. Gotta love him. Little River Band. Do you go back to the 70s? Little River Band. They're a little bit more subdued.
This is your era, my man.
I saw Little River Band in Oklahoma City. Oh yeah,
I knew you would.
Well, I have some Aussie friends. Trust me. And Oklahoma was Aussie capital of the world. They all came. They played tennis there, and so we.
And my era was more Hoodoo Gurus and In Excess.
Men at Work also too. Did you ever see Men at Work? Yeah, love Men at Work.
No, didn't see them.
Oh no, man!
She's a little younger than us, Craig.
I like the eye. The Men at Work. She's a little younger. No, Men at Work's still around.
Yeah.
All right. If you could hear a band in concert, what band would you want to hear? If you could hear anything kind of like local now, or is there something that comes to mind?
Probably Fleetwood Mac.
Ooh, I love Fleetwood Mac. Rumors that we wore that out like crazy. That was the national album of Putnam City High School in 1977. 77, I think. Rumor, or 76. Boy, wore a few of those 8-tracks out. 8-tracks.
I was going to ask if it was cassette, 8-track, or
8-track.
vinyl.
It was 8-track.
It was an 8-track.
Oh man, wore many of those out.
Which is very similar to Emma's recruiting video on VHS. These big fat tapes, right? Both of you with your big old tapes.
Oh man, I don't know if I still have that one. I have to go back there and scrounge around for that. All right, who's your favorite band? Who's your favorite?
Any genre. It could be rock and roll, anything.
My brother's a DJ, and every year he puts together what he calls nostalgic bombs for Christmas Day, and they're full of Peter Cetera and just those old sort of like
Chicago
songs.
Peter Cetera, Chicago, man.
Yeah.
You're really going old school.
Yeah, that. So I playlists, but no, probably John Legend or who else? I've gone blank on all the people that I like. I can think of all the songs. I'm not very good. Don't ever take me to music.
We ask a bunch of tough questions here on this. We're hard-hitting and impactful.
You know what I'm really good at? I'm good at bringing the trivia table together. I get the best music, my brother-in-law for music and, just I pull everyone together and then make sure everyone's drinks are loaded and then they answer the question. No, I can't think of...
We will get to hosting an event, a dinner party in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, no, we're following up on that.
We got you covered.
Oh yeah. So what type? I know that you've mentioned a lot of different bands. Is there a certain music genre? See, that's Oklahoma for like what do you like to listen to? Like rock, jazz?
I like everything. Like I did dance in the Australian Jitterbug Championships. I lost first round.
Jitterbug.
I mean, I went Jitterbug. Swing,
let's see a couple of moves up there.
Jazz.
Stand up to see the jitterbug.
Let's do it.
We'll do some jitterbugging too. All right. There we go. Now, you don't see this on any other podcast, but at the Net podcast, a jitterbug with him. We've never had that.
I went down first round, but I had to go. No, look, honestly, I love dance music from the 90s. I love 80s. I love the jazz and, current sort of poppy. No heavy metal. I like country music too. My mum is a big line dancer, so we go line dancing together. So I something I can sing along to, bop along to, and have a little bit of a, hardcore dance every once in a while. My workouts always put on, those types of tracks and
movement, energy, sort of music. Yeah.
What
just
about?
Depends what mood I'm in.
So this would be a good one. I've just thought of this real fast. Bee Gees, little disco.
Yeah, disco, definitely.
I love the Bee Gees. I mean, those guys are so underrated, man. They were awesome.
Yeah.
They were incredible back in my time. I mean, they were really unbelievable.
Actually, in your time, I gather before their disco era, they were serious musicians.
Oh, yeah.
And they were almost like Beatles influenced, and they were just tunesmiths. They could do anything.
They could talk like this. I don't know how they did that. I just don't know. They had Mickey Mouse voice, and they made it sound good. I mean, it was unbelievable how they could do that. All right, if you're in a band, all right, so you might have been in a band, all right, so this is the fun question because, and you don't have to be a singer. This is hypothetical then, all right, lead singer, lead guitarist, drummer, keyboards, bass guitarist, or you can join me at the Glockenspiel. Lead singer, I knew it. There you go. Front man,
front woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to be in
the highlight of last year, I did get married, and I changed all the words to the Hamilton song, I'm Not Throwing Away My Shot.
Love it.
And I did the whole two sort of verses about our story. I'm not throwing away my shot. I got a scholarship to Middle Tennessee College. I probably shouldn't brag, but dang, I was MVP, astonished. Got a lot of guts and no glory. Got a grunt just to be heard. With every other shot, I drop the shot. I'm a diamond in the rough, but I don't look tough. Then one day I played Miss Tina Summer. She's shooting left-handed. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Wow,
MC Emma Doyle with bars. Spitting bars. That was great. That was good stuff, kid.
Cannot sing. Definitely.
No, you didn't.
But she can rap.
Yeah, that's.
But I can talk.
First paid job. What was your first paid job?
Paper round, $7 a week.
Didn't
paper
what?
Round.
Paper. You had a paper route?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. $7 a week. It took me for $7. Honestly, we did the whole neighborhood, and we'd finish the day with soot. The black, like the carbon on our faces, and then I soon realised that was not a. But I did it for a fair while. So
well done.
That was tough.
Is that the Melbourne Herald? Is that the Herald? Is it Melbourne? Which the big paper down there?
Local. Yeah. Some, but no, I wouldn't deliver that paper if they paid me.
Yeah. For favorite movie, TV show? What do you like to watch? Are you a movie person? Netflix, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I can really binge watch. I mean, I really love it, especially right now. I can get into a show like just last night finished watching the names escape me. Really good though. Defending Jacob it was. So I love true crime, detective style stuff, but also very much into the medieval, like Outlander and the Queen's Gambit loved that, and the Spanish princess, the white queen, like all those female empowerment, like documentaries, those types of things. I really enjoy those. And favorite movie is some random one that I bet that you have not heard of.
Let's hear
it. It's called Before Sunrise.
This was Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy.
You have.
All right.
This man.
It's actually a trilogy, and it's easy because, you were joking about high performance and all that. I feel that way about independent film, where it used to really mean a lot, and now it's like, oh, that's an indie film. No. Or that's alternative rock. No, This was one of those that was at the, I would say, tail end, maybe the sweet spot, then the tail end of Richard Linklater movies. And he's done 3, and I encourage everybody. Great call, and I'm with you. I love that film.
Yeah, love it. It's all dialogue, so make sure you've got a nice glass of red handy when you watch it. Don't expect it to be the action packed.
Yeah.
If you're into human interaction and deep dialogue, it's a ripper.
It's a ripper. Thank you. And
it's pretty bonza.
And Ethan asked
I had to throw that in.
Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, Ethan asked that great question of somebody. I forget who, but he said, can you define irony? And a lot of people know what irony is, and they can't define it. And I feel that way a little bit about coaching. Just to quickly bring it back to coaching, as a coach of coaches and as a speaker, how do movies, maybe music too, but how do those affect you? How do those influence you? Those great moments.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a coach, we're always looking for different angles and different edges and different quotes, and it definitely affects me. And I think I'm a huge fan of recommending, like even the Al Pacino speech. I mean, that gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. Or in the movie Along Came a Spider, where Morgan Freeman, says, it's a famous quote where he says, we do what we are, not are what we do.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
I had to close my eyes there, go back into the the filing cabinet in the back of your brain, going, I'm sure that quote's in there somewhere.
Well done.
But those things I think are things that we can recommend people watch. And we do this. I've been involved a lot in the Girl Power camps, and we run this one. Well, this will be the first one I'll be missing in January. But what does it mean to represent Australia? Which of course is Australia Day tomorrow as well. But in this camp, we'll have them play, and then we'll take them inside and get them to watch something like nothing to do with tennis.
Yeah.
They're thinking, we had them watch the TEDx talk, Bravery, Not Perfection. Then we put them back out to the exact same drill. Don't say a word, and what do you think happens? Poaching and calling and communicating, and so you can use images and music and the power of films. I think to greater effect than maybe sometimes we do.
What a fantastic answer. Sorry for that tangent, but I'm happy we did it. That was fun. Yeah, it was good.
Nick Smith said Suicide Blondes was 90s.
It was early 90s, for sure.
There.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, there we go. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Which one?
Brunch.
Brunch.
But that's not an option.
I love it.
We didn't have brunch, did we?
That's my answer too. Good stuff.
Wow, man, you stumped me. I was like, brunch. So you must be. So the next question then I'm going to ask you is sunrise or sunset. So it must be sunset because you don't get up early and see the sunrise if you like brunch, right?
You would think. No, I'm definitely a morning girl.
Are you really? Interesting.
Yeah.
So you like to see the sunrise out there, huh?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Okay.
If I'm in a beautiful place, right on a beach, then definitely I'll make the effort.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a Kyle LaQuire up at 5. But I listened to your last episode.
By the way, Kyle is up at 4:15 his time.
Yes.
Sorry.
That guy's crazy.
The tycoon, he gets it now.
He totally gets it.
Not quite. I'm not quite there, but I'm definitely. I like to start the day. It's where I do my best thinking.
Yes.
But I don't necessarily eat breakfast straight. It's a cup of tea, the English influence, and then a coffee, and then But I do love that time in the morning. It's where I'm at my most active.
Yeah.
So this podcast tonight, now from here on in, could go down. But hopefully you've had a few laughs
Oh,
We certainly have, yeah.
All right, so now here's the big question. Then. All right, after breakfast, lunch, and dinner, brunch. All right, so we know that AJ and I would be invited to this soiree. I like to say soiree or party, because Oklahoma, we have soirees in Oklahoma. Did you know that?
You don't get
Or
to
a
use
barbie?
a Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie.
A South African would say a braai,
Braai.
and in your case, it's a Barbie. I like it.
Yeah, soiree in Oklahoma. All right, so anyway, 4 people that you would invite besides AJ and I to this dinner party.
Inter-era,
Doesn't matter.
just inter-genre, interdimension.
Intergalactic.
Go have a great time. Intergalactic, planetary.
Well, I'm very fascinated by ancestry, and I've heard a lot that apparently I was a little bit similar to my dad's dad, who I never had the opportunity to meet. And I think Peter Doyle would be a really fascinating man if I had the opportunity to speak with him. Is that
Peter Doyle? Peter
That
Doyle,
is
the actor? Is that the actor, Peter?
No.
Oh, I was going to say
You're
Peter
thinking Peter Boyle.
Boyle. That's
Would it
right,
be?
Peter Boyle. That's right. 'Cause I love Peter Boyle.
He'd be interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your own granddad. That's a great answer. What
Yeah.
else? Who else?
Yeah. And both my granddads, my other granddad, well, he lived to 100. He was awesome. I used to take him out to dinner all the time. So I'm interested in the ancestry piece. But who else? I think, I was really impressed with Amanda Gorman's poem just last week.
Just last week on the 20th, yeah.
Just last week. I mean, I'm just thinking, I say that because I'm always interested in the younger generation and their take on things. And I was really blown away by, especially by female empowerment as well. So Billie Jean King. Haven't met her yet. I'm close. So I'm close. I'm in touch with Alana, and I'm keep telling her about all this female empowerment stuff I'm doing, and make sure you tell Billie Jean. But
Emma, I
hope to meet her one day.
I tagged WTCA and Billie Jean King on one of your posts, so I think Billie Jean's going to clap back and say, "All right, let's get together."
Right.
Fantastic.
So, anybody else at the dinner?
Probably my partner.
Oh yeah, Tina. We got to get her in. Yeah. Good.
So what would you be serving at this soiree? What are we eating?
No, I wouldn't be cooking.
Okay.
I'd be
Takeout.
organising. Tina would be cooking.
Okay.
I'd be getting around, make sure everyone's drinks are full, and doing the preparation. But no.
And
don't put me in the kitchen.
Yeah, and you've curated the music. If you want, we can DJ it. But we're set there. Craig's got a follow up.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, so what do we? I mean, seriously, what are we eating? Are we having
what's Tina
7-course
cooking?
dinner, or are we doing just kind of like a buffet
I think
style?
We called it. Earlier. So everything you can imagine, you can put on a barbie. We would have, plus just a really nice fresh salad and your corn on the cob, and plus the veggies on the barbie. Just everything barbie.
Yeah.
And just that real smoky flavour. I think I'm just missing it this time of year, and it's always what we do on Australia Day. So
Are we having a Foster's?
A tinny of it? No.
No.
A VB.
No.
We're having a VB.
Victoria Bitter.
Yeah.
Give me a bucket. Oh,
Right.
no. We're definitely having some champagne, maybe
Right.
Prosecco's, and we'll have every variety, but definitely not those two beers.
I know Foster's is trash beer.
Yeah.
That's not.
We have to invite Egon Goolgong.
Oh, my favorite
I like
too.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, I like her.
Yeah.
That'd be a ripper as well, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
East Coast or West Coast? Are you an East Coast person or a West Coast person here in the States? And then we'll all ask you about that in Australia too.
Yeah. I think I love Colorado. Is that a bit more west, I guess?
But that's my next question.
Yeah,
But
we'll call
get
it-
to that one next. But
I haven't really spent time living in either side. I mean, Tina's family's from New York. I like always visiting them, but that's a tricky one. I'm not sure.
I know. That's why we asked that
I
question.
think her answer is no coast
There's
or
no coast.
Rockies.
That's right.
Yeah, the Rockies.
Rockies.
Yeah.
That's my next question. Mountains or beach? That's my follow-up.
Yeah, mountains.
Mountains.
So do you like the mountains?
No, 'cause that's-
Are you
well,
wintertime?
I
Wintertime.
was
Just
going
real
to say,
quick.
Yeah.
Can I
Go ahead.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure.
When I was younger, a freak tidal wave actually came. That was my only near-death experience so far in my life. Fingers crossed, touch wood, whatever. But yeah, freak tidal wave came out and pulled me out to sea, and so that was really touch and go there for a while. If another wave had come, I would have been swept out. It was the middle of winter, and my dad sort of grabbed me out of the water. It knocked me out. I blacked out from it. And so I had a real thing about the ocean because it's so powerful. I mean, Melbourne beaches, there's been more deaths from drowning because people are going to unpatrolled beaches because of the fear of COVID, and there's not lifesavers there. They don't understand the tides, how strong these, surrounded by all these, wild ocean seas, and it's a real shame. There's definitely more deaths than that in the last 2 weeks than COVID down under. Wow. So anyway, that was just a little side note. So for me, that's why I love inland.
Right. Hey, so your dad saved your life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how old
were you? Yeah,
bond. I was 8.
8. You were just a little kid.
Little nipper.
Mm-hmm.
Nipper.
Yeah.
They call them nippers.
Yeah.
Little nipper.
Yep, they do. Yep.
I only know that because I was down there watching them. I think I was at Bondi Beach, and they were having the little nippers out. I was like, okay, they're giving swimming lessons. I happened to be by when I was visiting Australia. I go, little nippers, and I said, nippers. It's kind of like rippers. They were rippers. They were nippers.
Yeah. No, they're very cute. It's pretty cool part of our upbringing. Not mine, but yeah.
So, favorite season? Are you spring, summer, winter, fall?
Summer.
Summer. Okay, summer in the mountains.
Well, it's a lot of blue sky here. This is my first ever winter, so that's why we went to Arizona last week just to warm up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but no summer.
Favorite holiday besides Australia Day?
Well, I do birthday week. Does that count as a holiday?
Absolutely.
I rented a castle for my 40th.
Wow.
In Scotland. Yeah, it was amazing.
A castle?
I mean, it was midweek, but,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That counts. I sort of treat it as a holiday. I believe in birthday week, and not just for me. But,
That's really interesting, a castle. I didn't know you could do it. Did you have a moat and everything? Did you have a drawbridge?
It was amazing. The whole thing was amazing.
Wow.
We took over, we rented the whole, top floor, and, it was incredible. Yeah,
wow.
Culzean Castle. If anyone wants to rent it, highly recommend it.
Oh, that's great.
Where is it again? Say it again.
It's on the west coast of Scotland. It's called Culzean. Or the Scottish people may be telling me Culzean. But I could have pronounced that wrong.
Andy, is that? Have you ever been there?
I mean, yeah, it's great. I'm my accent is half American at the moment, but I'm sure it's a great holiday destination for Emma.
Never been there, but Emma's been someplace you haven't been, right? You didn't know AJ did all these voices, did you?
I did.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
He is a talent.
Yeah. Well, what do you like to do in your spare time when you have a spare moment?
Golf.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did you play golf in Scotland? Because that's where they consider.
That's the Jerusalem of golf, the Wimbledon of golf.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had my last year, very, very sad. I had a speaking gig with the Scottish Tourism Association, and I built into my speaking fee a round of golf at Glen Eagles, and then it was cancelled. So hopefully we'll still get that opportunity. But have played golf there, and obviously huge, do a bit of work with Judy Murray, and she's been a great mentor of mine. So she's a big influence on my coaching. So been awesome.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, that's the pinnacle of golf. In golf, as we say in Texas, it's golf. It's not golf. There's no L. I don't know where that happened. They just dropped the L. It's just GOF golf. Golf. Right. All right, so here we go.
I love that. Robin Williams skit. If anyone gets a chance to watch it about where golf was invented. By the Scots, and then he talks about, this silly game where you've got to put this hole, not like croquet. No, you put the hole miles away, so it makes it so hard to put it in. Anyway,
I haven't heard that. I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah,
Robin
it's very funny.
Oh, yeah. He's a funny guy. All right, so here we go. We're rounding the stretch here. We're circling back to some tennis questions. Indoor tennis or outdoor tennis?
Outdoor, because I was an all-court player and needed every other advantage. If it was windy, then I had a chance of knocking off a number one seed. So using the conditions to my advantage, because I wasn't that great of a player.
Love that mindset.
Hard court, grass, clay. Did you or what? The surface in Australia that the
Ontuka.
Whatever that is. Yeah, it's the kind of synthetic.
I grew up on Ontuka.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. Yeah, but it's not a great surface. It's slippery when the weather's. I mean, grass is my favourite. I mean, still a lot of clubs, the country clubs have to go play a grass court tournament. another favorite holiday, just memories of just playing the Yarrawonga Open, the Easter, over the Easter break. And there's some great memories where you just can't walk for like 5 days afterwards,
Wow.
From bending your knees, getting down so low on the grass. But that's my favorite surface.
So did you have an embarrassing moment in tennis? We always have. AJ and I had some, and I would imagine if you played tennis long enough, is there an embarrassing moment in tennis that you've had? That you recall?
One doesn't spring to mind. I mean, I've won, one match. You always remember that one match, but embarrassing maybe for the opposition when they, we were getting smoked. It was a pennant final. And anyway, this woman had a ginormous serve, and we were really struggling to break her serve. But then she accidentally hit it into the back of her partner's head. And honestly, it looked like this woman's eyeballs just popped out and then just popped back in. And she didn't even flinch. Like, she was like really tough, She was so focused on the final, She just stood there and she went just like that. And we went on to win in 3.
You did it.
From that moment on, I mean, they would talk about like an embarrassing moment. Like for them, it was just a game changer. The eyeball.
Yeah, that cartoon.
I'm sure I've got more than that, but that's what came to mind.
No, that's good. It's a Marty Friedman. Marty Friedman, the actor. He had those bug eyes. I can see that on this lady. Favorite tournament. What tournament? It can be professional or amateur or maybe one in Cowabunga maybe.
Wimbledon is the one, I guess, where you stay up late. You're allowed to stay up late. Like as a kid, like if I think back, the Australian Open was special, but again, this is the first one I missed since 1988. So Aussie Open's always obviously dear to the heart, but Wimbledon is the one where it's sort of like, I don't know, it feels like where tennis sort of was first around.
It's our cathedral, and it stirs up all these.
Did you all get that over in Australia, or is that just an American NBC?
I laughed along with you, thinking where are they going?
Where the hell are they going with that?
It's our NBC Breakfast at Wimbledon's theme song. It would be like what the BBC plays over there, or Channel 7 in Melbourne or something.
And the old Rudyard Kipling poem.
If.
Centre court, if. So,
amazing.
all the things around that, and when I was able to take some juniors there, it was special. I got to hit on the grass, and that was pretty special. So that's the one that comes to mind.
So do you like to watch TV on tennis, or would you rather see it in person, or do you like watching, on the telly behind us, like something like that?
A bit of both, probably. Yeah, can't be a fence sitter on that one.
So
and I also, one thing I do like to watch is between points. When everyone's checking their phone.
Oh yeah.
That's probably one of my most fascinating things is what's happening. And I've done a lot of work with players where we just videotape them between the points, just showing what it's amazing how many people don't even realise what they look like, what they do between points. And I think that's so fascinating when you can see momentum shifts if you pay a bit more attention to what's happening between the points.
You do a lot of match charting, and do you ever integrate match charting and momentum with that 16 to 25 seconds between those points? Do you ever delve into that with coaches or with students?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do.
Because the two are related, and so we have. I've always just I'm a handwritten girl and just a piece of graph paper. I know it takes me a bit longer at the end of it to add it up, but I love just being able to make a note and just when you can touch on when momentum swings and what happened at those points, and just putting up plus, neutral or minus for body language. And different, a lot of players I work with, they have that anchor affirmation. So, it might be the dampener on the racket, so it's pressing the dampener. You can physically see whether they do that, so you can chart that.
Some coaches use this as a mental anchor. Like Jack Sock has been taught to do, a lot of players have, or the clenching of the other fist. I thought it was intriguing that you are right-handed, like I am. You are right-brained, even though you're not lefty. Is that why you must have a great backhand?
My backhand is horrible.
Is it?
It's horrible. I'm a Steffi Graf.
You're a slicer. Yeah.
I'm a slicer. Funny story about I had an arm injury, and then I learnt the slice, and then all of a sudden I learned how to drop shot, and then I just overdid it.
That was it.
Everything, and then my mum was like, "What are you doing? Who are you?" And then when I tried to go back to the two-hander, I had a coach that didn't know how to teach it. He believed in an interlocking sort of extreme grip like that, and it was not until I went to college that I went to a Continental Eastern, thank God.
Yeah.
And so I'm a very good coach of technical coach of the backhand and the grips, because I have invested so much time and energy into understanding the backhand. But I used to just chip it, and then eventually I just one hand.
Yeah.
So no, average, super average backhand. My college mates will attest to that.
Yeah.
Running to the tram line just to hit a forehand. otherwise known as the alley boy.
Yep. The alley.
Favorite tennis player ever? Favorite tennis player now? Kind of. Who's your favorite tennis player? Who's, if you look back in history?
Yeah, you can dig back a little, and of course we want the now one too.
Yeah, I probably would say Steffi, because of I tried to sort of build my game a little bit around that forehand and that, that chip. And so therefore, the way Ash Barty plays, I do love that style, and that resonates with, me as a player and as a coach. And again, the orange stage, the misunderstood middle child comes back to that all court game. I mean, even in, the Italian Federation, they do a lot of work on their Rogie program. When you pop out of the 12s, they want to develop all-court players. So, they really believe in encouraging those skills all the way through the Rogie pathway. So, I really love that. I love that they really believe in that, and I think it is the way of the future. And interestingly, did you ask me female, or did I just go straight?
It could. I was actually going to ask. It can be
both?
Men's, women's, either way. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Tennis in general.
This is your.
Okay.
You can answer it any way you want. Yeah. Is there a guy?
With my answers then.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
All right.
Good stuff.
No. Well, as the guy, I would probably say I did enjoy watching Pat Rafter.
Yeah.
For numerous different reasons, many reasons, but especially just that Davis Cup era. I went to that one, seeing them win there, and so that was pretty special then, and then now Roger Federer.
Yeah, because we did have one of our Facebook people asked, "Did you like Rafter or Scud better?" So that was a good question.
Scud.
Scud. Everybody.
Yeah.
Mark Philippoussis, for those who didn't know his nickname.
Yep.
But PR Patty Rafter, it was your favorite then, probably. I liked him. Yeah, he was a good guy. I like that little tuft of white hair.
Yeah, the skunk. They call him skunky.
Yeah.
What sport would you have played if it wasn't tennis? What would you have picked up?
Footy.
Footy? There we go. I figured you were going to say that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been cricket? Did you play cricket ever?
Played cricket, loved cricket, footy. Give me, So any sport with, especially bat ball, as well. Played a lot of, just badminton and squash and all those sort of racket sports and table tennis. But this is the one.
We'll go out for a kick. We'll have to go out for a kick sometime.
You promise?
Yeah, I'm coming over. I'll be over in about 4 hours. We'll have a little kick.
I love it.
That's a kick. Yeah.
We just got a new neighbour, and he lived in Australia for 17 years. And I was like, "Do you kick the footy? Like, do you want to have a kick with me?"
Let's have a kick.
Like, I wasn't very good at it. And I was like, "I don't care."
That's right. It's like us going out and playing catch. They go, let's go have a kick.
It's with their feet.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, last two questions. So we're rounding the corner here. If you wouldn't have been involved in sports, what would you be doing right now?
Well, I think, what came to mind is the fact that, I love working with people. And so, this whole, whether it be in the corporate world or whether it be in the female empowerment space, very dear to my heart, helping female coaches, So I guess it's hard for me to say outside of helping people, like nothing else really comes to mind, because I would be a singer, let's be honest, but never going to happen. So but I can't do that.
Maybe a rapper.
But I think something to do with helping people and something to do with a cause bigger than me that I can throw myself into.
That's a great answer. I think
Excellent.
I can see that, but I definitely agree with something like that. That you would be involved with, helping change the world, helping do something like that. And speaking of changing the world, this is our last question. This is the big question. The creme de la creme de la creme. I don't know. If you could wave the magic wand, you're the commissioner of the great game of tennis. You're the keeper of everything, and you could make a change or changes. Is there anything that you would change or leave it alone? Would you leave tennis alone?
No, I think we every day we have to play our part in making this game accessible and maybe loved. Maybe because it's hot on my brain right now, I'll go back to the orange stage. I just think we have to do a much better job of making the products of tennis sexy.
Yes.
It's probably a wrong word for kids, but we have to make the product appealing. That those moments out on court need to be an experience that where they want to come back, and where again I think that one of the biggest things we need to work on, and someone explained it really well to me the other day. There's teaching pros and there are coaches, and I really for me I've always felt I'm a coach. Like I don't just say this is how palm away on the forehand. I'm like, okay, now let's go and see you play.
Yeah.
So the bridging the gap between teaching the sport of tennis so that we can play it and we can fall in love with the play. I mean, I'm notorious for, Harry Potter tennis and Happy Halloween and Grand Prix tennis and dressing up these names for kids, and then so that they fall in love with, at orange stage, the shape of the court, so that when they become an adult,
Yes.
that then they're like, oh, okay, so, this is why I did that crazy activity, so I could learn how to slice, or I could learn how to come in, or I could learn how to enjoy playing at the net as well as the baseline. So I think that would be, how do we bridge that gap, that competition gap, especially at clubs, that I think is sometimes two different experiences, and how do we make the products more appealing based on the developmental needs and who's in front of us?
Yes.
That's a great answer.
Great answer. Emma, as we wind down, I want you to tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you. Maybe you can talk a little bit about Dream Seekers and just your website and, like you said, landing page. Yeah, give us a little plug there. Yeah,
sure. So my email is just info, at, and then my name, emmadoyle.com.au. Don't forget AU for Australia. Emma Doyle, EMMADOYLE.com.au is my email. The website with all the online courses is acecoach.com.au. Well done.
Yes.
Well done.
He's pretty smart. He listens.
Makes a great coach, someone who listens. So that's the website. But I've got lots of talks online. Check out the TEDx if you get a moment. And I mean, honestly, right now, I feel someone says, I sit in the back of an Uber or whatever. What do you do? I'm a performance coach for dream seekers. So any dream seekers out there, doesn't matter what your dream is or what age or level you are. Reach out, get in touch, and would love to hear from you because I always say the ball is in your court.
There he is.
Oh.
Very heady stuff there. Uh-oh, we lost her. Did we lose her?
Emma, we've lost you audio.
Oh, because my ball hit the turn.
It was a direct hit. The ball is in your microphone too, not just your court. Right. Well, Emma, you are
and of course, love all.
Love all.
Oh, that's right. You got to get love all in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Excellent. Well done.
Very nice clothing company.
Emma, you've been a tremendous guest and a great friend, and just many, many thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
No, right back at you, gentlemen. I hope ELD has been enough for CB1.
Yes.
And,
the notorious ELD.
Not ELB. I got her mixed up with Peter Boyle's granddaughter instead of Peter Doyle.
That's right.
Sorry about that.
I really appreciate it. You both do a tremendous job, and I love the energy of the show. I must admit, on my calendar, I think I only booked out an hour, but I just looked down there and I went, "Oh my goodness!"
Well, I've got more questions if you want to keep going.
We should go, but I say we do a part 2. And right now, let's let this young woman go sleep and have a happy Monday tomorrow.
No, I'm coming over for a kick. I'm going to go over for a kick, because we're Blues fans.
Late night.
Stephen Kernahan, baby, come on.
Oh. one more thing.
Oh, yeah?
Please.
I have to say, only because it's episode 74.
Yeah.
That's right.
Michelle Krause and I
Eminem.
started the Eminem show, of course, in 2020, and we are just about to film episode 75.
Wow.
Which was the year I was born.
Hey.
Can I just say that out loud?
Too many things going on. I love it. Shit.
I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Heart on my sleeve.
I love it. We will get into the paranormal when we have you on the next time. So,
yeah.
be ready.
Right.
And I have a feeling Michelle Krause is going to be on our show one day. So, talk it up, and we'll arrange that. We'll get her on.
Make sure I do the. I'll rap the intro for her too.
Yes.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Michelle Krause at the Net podcast.
Yeah.
We all listen to you.
Looking forward to this. Yes.
Emma Doyle, thank you very much.
Big
Thank you.
salute.
Yeah.
Big thanks.
Yeah.
Cheers, Emma.
Pleasure.
All right. Have a great
Thank you.
night. Great night.
Thank you.
too.
Okay.
Bye.
Sleep
See you
well.
soon.
Have a happy Monday, everybody.
Okay.
You too.
Thank you.
A lot of fun there, wasn't
my
it?
man, that was a blast. Well done.
Man, talk about a lady with a lot of energy.
Yeah, and
That
everybody
is-
talks about her energy and her passion, but I also want to say her sense of purpose jumps out of the screen, and I was really proud to have her on the show. That was really fun.
Oh, it was fun. We spent an hour and 54 minutes right now.
Yeah,
with
close to
Emma.
2 hours. That was a blast.
Should we cue up Mr. Jimmy?
Little James Frank Campbell with the guitar and the drums and the bass.
I always want to call him James Scott
Connors.
Connors, that's right.
You're thinking
yeah.
Jimmy Connors.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thanks. There we go. I had to wait for that. Thanks for listening to Season 1, Episode 74. Right. Of At the Net Podcast. Join us next week because we're going to be barbershop style. We're going to go to the barbershop.
Panel.
We're going to have a
tennis
panel.
shop.
This is USPTA Texas Board. All of them, we're going to try to fit into the screen right here. We're going to try to get 8 or 9 people in here and do a little barbershop.
It's going to be a blast.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. We're trying something new. All right. This is going to be something new we're going to try. And then also join us Wednesday nights, right?
Instead of this Wednesday night, we're going Wednesday late afternoon.
That's true.
In Central Time, it'll be about 4 p.m., broadcasting live on Instagram from John Newcomb's Tennis Ranch.
That's right. Nukes, as they call it.
Nukes, and
he's an Australian like
right
Emma.
before the Oz Open.
That's right.
I doubt he'll actually be there, but we'll have some artifacts. We'll have some nukes to talk about, and maybe even a guest appearance from Luke Harden, who we tried to get on our Wednesday night show last week. Technical difficulties prevented that, but I hope to get him on for a quick 15-minute segment, and then we'll celebrate all things Australian and all things, would you call that Central Texas or South Texas?
South. I don't want to say
Texas,
South.
yeah.
And the technical difficulties were not me, so don't. I'm going to throw it on the Tex-Mex team. Those guys had the problem, but that's fun. Always fun being able to do Instagram with AJC. We're going to have a lot of fun.
We love doing it.
And lastly, be sure to tell a friend or friends as hopefully. Your peeps like us, right? We like
I
your
think
peeps,
they do,
right?
yeah.
Yep. And that's the tennis news as it
seems to us.
Good night, everybody, from Dallas.